Hey cuties, what's up? We're back with some more Reactions After Dark, and we of course going to be watching Real Men in Black Encounters, the UFO mystery that won't die, obviously by Beauty and the Beast. This is the first time we've reacted to Beauty and the Beast, but it is a Megan adjacent video, so this is Dark Asia with Megan's second channel. Technically I have reacted to a Beauty and the Beast video, but that's off of the Dark Asia with Megan channel, right? Because she was doing Beauty and the Beast's videos on her first channel, I think, before making a second one, and then having all that content just be over there and be over here, and then the true crime stuff is just on Megan's main channel. But yeah, I had saw this in the feed, and I was like, okay, I gotta watch this at some point. So that is what we are going to be doing today. But yeah, it's been quite a while since we've done a Dark Asia with Megan video, so I figured something we did have to end up doing. Maybe we'll end up getting back to Dark Asia stuff again, because we did have like at least one or two, I want to say, just strictly Dark Asia weeks, right? I just watched Dark Asia all week, because there's not really much to watch right now, honestly, so we could probably do that for next week. Obviously not now because it's Friday, right? But maybe next week we can have a Dark Asia week again, unless Stephanie decides to upload something. No tea today. There's stuff I need to talk about, but of course I save that for Stephanie videos specifically, so we are just going to get straight into it. Yeah, technically this is the first time I'm watching her Beauty and the Beast's channel, but not this content specifically. I don't know if she's still doing the beauty part. The whole point was like her doing her makeup whilst talking about like a spooky story, right? I don't know if she still does that or not.
Hey beauties and beasts, welcome back to the show.
I mean, it looks like, right? Because she has a bunch of stuff on the side here.
Okay, so I need you to do something for me before we start today. I need you to think about that last time you saw something you couldn't explain. Something in the sky,
Never happened, unfortunately.
something that felt off, a moment that you ask yourself, wait a minute, what the hell is that? Now imagine that the next morning, someone was at your door and they already knew. That is what today is about. These people we're going to talk about today, they don't announce themselves. No badge, no warrant, no explanation for how they knew where you lived, or how they got there so fast, or how they already knew exactly what you saw. They just show up, usually within 24 hours.
It's kind of just making me think, okay, what if, question mark in this context, moving the mic there, my bad, the Men in Black aren't some sort of organization that's like, oh no, aliens got to keep the alien information contained. What if it's just it could still be a secret thing, right? But it's a secret organization that runs experiments, right? They try to do weird stuff, but they try to do weird stuff in the case of trying to get normal people to see it, and then they make sure that only a select few of of citizens see this stuff, and then so they already know, right? Because they're targeting the citizen and then subjecting them to whatever the weird thing is going to be, right? And they show up to get data or what have you, right? Kind of like the MK Ultra stuff, right? Something like that. So what if the Men in Black isn't just aliens? It's just your standard government running tests on the citizens without their consent/knowledge.
Sometimes less. And the people who've met them, the ones still willing to talk about it, all describe the same thing. Black suit, black sunglasses, a face so pale and so empty, it doesn't look quite right.
But like this is you're implying that this is like aliens, right? Like from XCOM. I don't know what they're called, the tall men. Something like that, specifically from the newer games. I don't know if they were in the older games, what they were called back then.
A voice that sounds like someone learned to speak by studying recordings of human beings. And when they leave, one of two things happens. Either you forget or you wish you could. Today, we are going to talk about real life encounter stories with the men in black, like in those movies, but real, like right at your door. This is about the people who claim to have met them before the movies existed, before the concept even had a name. So, let's get started.
Men in Black mystery horror stories. I'm guessing this is going to be a bunch of like little things, not just one story, right?
This is 1953, Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Okay, of course, the 50s. When was Roswell? Was it the 40s or 50s?
Albert Bender ran a small UFO research organization called the International Flying Saucer Bureau. He was serious about it in a way most people around him weren't. Correspondence networks, a newsletter, a growing membership of people who believed the official explanations for what was happening in the sky simply didn't add up. Then a fireball came down over New England, and Bender got hold of some of the metal fragments, and
Could have just been a meteor, right?
he started analyzing them. And then, one night, 3 men appeared in his room. He would later describe this experience as suffocating. Not metaphorically, he said he could barely breathe in their presence. All 3 wore dark suits. All 3 had faces he struggled to describe afterward, not because they were remarkable, but because they somehow weren't, like trying to remember a face from a dream. They told him to stop, not asked, told. He dissolved his organization within weeks, stopped all research, and refused for years to say anything more than, "I was told to stop, and I stopped." It wasn't until a decade later that he finally wrote about it in detail. By then, the letters had already started coming in from people all over the world who read his story and wrote back, saying the same thing happened to me. Canada, Mexico, England, Italy, New Zealand, China, the same black suits, the
Now we're seeing it's all over the world, right? Again, taking the same idea at the beginning, right? It could just be some sort of organization that's just worldwide, that's just pranking people in real life. I mean, not actually pranks, right? But just rage baiting, pranking people in real life, trying to get reactions, just using them as test subjects for whatever they're trying to do. It doesn't necessarily have to be aliens, right? It could just be some higher society. I don't know. I try not to use the term Illuminati because I don't know if they would be doing something like this, but we could use like Illuminati adjacent organization just doing stuff like this. I don't know.
same cold presence, the same feeling that whatever was standing in front of them was not entirely what it appeared to be. And that's when people started using the name Men in Black. But to understand where they came from, you have to go back 6 years before Bender, to a dry patch of desert in New Mexico,
We were talking about Roswell now.
and to a crash that the US government has spent decades trying to make people forget.
I don't know if people have forgotten about Roswell. If we're talking about
July
Roswell, I mean, we literally have like multiple shows about it, right? You have the original Roswell, and then I think there was a remake at some point. Well, not necessarily even a remake, maybe in a continuation. I don't know. Almost a continuation, like a half remake, half continuation. I don't know. I haven't seen it, and I don't know anything about it. I've watched a lot of the original Roswell. I didn't finish that either, though.
1947, Roswell, New Mexico.
Yep.
A rancher named Mac Brazel rides out across his property and finds something that stops him cold. Scattered across a wide stretch of his land, debris. Not the kind from a weather balloon, whatever the official reports would later claim. Strange metallic material, lightweight in a way that felt wrong, that held its shape when crumpled and smoothed itself back out. Foil that wasn't foil, beams with markings on them that didn't resemble any language anyone could identify. Word gets out. The local military base issues a statement, and this part is real, it's in the original press release, confirming that a flying disc had been recovered. Then, within 24 hours, the story changes completely. Weather balloon, nothing to see, move along. What happened in those 24 hours has never been fully explained.
Also, what even is a weather balloon, by the way? It's just something they send up to the sky to try to get a gauge of the weather. I've never actually even thought to look up what a weather balloon is. I just hear the term weather balloon and just am just okay. Like, okay, sure. But is that actually, propaganda? nonsense implanted into us? Question mark. Right? But like, we just don't question what a weather balloon is. Like, what is a weather balloon? Like, you could just make a educated guess. Like, your brain immediately makes an educated guess, and you just don't think twice to even think about what it actually is. But what is a weather balloon? Yeah, it's just a balloon with equipment attached to it to measure like the weather and whatnot up there. But again, like, you can obviously just make that assumption from what it's called. But the fact that I've never even once thought to look up what a weather balloon is, like the proper definition, I think says a lot.
But here's what people who study this stuff point to. That was the moment something shifted. Because after Roswell, a new kind of visitor started showing up. Not at crash sites, at front doors. At the homes of witnesses, researchers, amateur investigators, anyone who got too close, asked too many questions, or simply happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Always black suits, always within a day or two of the incident, always knowing things they shouldn't. The men in black had entered the picture. So, what do these men in black actually do? We need to understand the pattern. They don't show up before a sighting. They show up after, usually within 24 to 48 hours, almost always before the witness has had a chance to tell anyone officially. Which raises a question nobody has been able to answer clearly. How do they know? Harold Dahl found out the hard way.
Who?
It was the summer of 1947.
Okay, 47. This is, I'm assuming, after Roswell.
Puget Sound, Washington.
Like, I mean, barely after Roswell. It was the 40s. I was assuming it was the 40s that what Roswell was happening. This is making me want to play XCOM, like the new one. Even though I did try to play it a long time ago, and it just wasn't doing it for me. I might even recorded it. Maybe it's even on my channel somewhere. I had to go look. Like an episode or two. Maybe I'll play it in July next month for Horror in July. Which we didn't realize I'm going to try to do Horror in July this year, which is a series I do sometimes, where I just try to play as much horror stuff in July as I possibly can. So maybe we'll play XCOM. Is it called Enemy, or is it called XCOM Enemy Unknown? Is that the new XCOM? I mean, I wish I could just play the old XCOM, but I don't own any of the old ones, question mark, and I assume you would want to play a modded version or like an updated version. I could just buy I should have already done this, by the way. What's the game called? Is it Xenonauts? I don't actually remember what it's called. There's Xenonauts 2. That is just a XCOM kind of like clone slash spiritual successor, right? So maybe I'll do that instead.
Dahl was out on the water with his son and their dog when something appeared in the sky above him. Large, metallic, unlike anything he'd seen before. Before he could process what he was looking at, the object began shedding debris. Hot metal rained down onto his boat. The dog was killed. His son was seriously injured. And in the chaos, Dahl had the presence of mind to raise his camera and shoot. The next morning, a man in a black suit was at his door. Dahl hadn't filed a report, hadn't called anyone, had barely slept. And yet, there was this man sitting across from him at his own kitchen table, describing the previous night's events in precise detail, including details Dahl hadn't mentioned to a single living person.
Are those like real photos they're using in this drawing? Also, who is the artist here, by the way? I don't know if she does this. I assume she might have like hire someone to do this.
Then the man said something Dahl never forgot. He nodded toward the hospital where Dahl's son was recovering and said, quietly, that it should be a shame if his condition got worse. The photo was handed over. Around the same time in Ohio, a man named Richardson hit something with his car late at night on a rural road. He never clearly saw what it was, only that it wasn't an animal, only that when he stopped and looked, wherever it was gone, and he told no one. A week later, two men in black suits arrived at his home. They walked past him to his car, parked in his own driveway, and destroyed it.
They're just dismantling it. How do you going to do that so quickly? I mean, this is obviously a drawing, so we don't know what they're doing. But they probably were just like actually destroying it, not systematically taking it apart.
Without a word. Then they left. UFO researchers who documented the case suggested Richardson had struck an extraterrestrial being. That what happened in his driveway wasn't random. It was a message. We know what you saw, and now you know that we know. And here's the thing that unsettles people most when you dig into the witness accounts. It's not the threats, it's not the black cars or the sudden appearances or the fact that they always seem to know too much. It's the faces. Witnesses consistently describe the same features: pale to the point of looking unwell, eyes slightly too large, a stillness in the face that reads less like composure and more like the absence of something.
Again, if we're still going with the theory at the beginning, this might just be intentional, right? To have like masks that just look creepy to reinforce whatever nonsense they're trying to do. Question mark. Again, doesn't necessarily have to be aliens disguised as people. I wish they were really tall though, like the tall men in XCOM, like an Enemy Unknown. I think it's like the newer games are called. I swear that's what they're called, right? I need one of these to be like they're pale, they're wearing all black suits, and they're like 7, 8 feet tall.
And almost universally, they report the same strange after effect. Days later, they cannot reconstruct the face. They know they looked directly at it. They know it had eyes, a nose, a mouth. But the specific details, gone, like the memory was taken along with everything else. Some accounts go further. One witness described a man with no fingernails. Another said the man spoke to him without moving his lips at all, that the voice seemed to arrive rather than come from anywhere specific. A third said that when she looked directly into his eyes, just for a moment, she felt an overwhelming certainty that she was going to comply with whatever he asked, not out of fear, out of something she couldn't name. In 1968, a UFO researcher named Jack Robinson became convinced someone was monitoring him. He'd found evidence of break-ins at his apartment, objects moved, files disturbed, nothing taken, at least nothing obvious. His friend Timothy Green Beckley came to visit one afternoon and noticed a man standing across the street from Jack's building. Just standing, not looking at anything in particular, not doing anything. Beckley watched him for 2 hours. The man didn't move, didn't.
Really, just it was in his car, so he was just like in his car watching another man who's watching his friend's house. Also, did they take this picture of this man? Question mark. Is it actually the man? I mean, I'm assuming this is just like stock footage, it's not actually the man.
Shift his weight, didn't acknowledge a single person walking past.
I was going to say, it's probably just, if we're going with the tall man, the alien disguise thing, are we saying that they have like x-ray vision or something? So they can actually see through the walls, so they actually are looking into his house or something like that?
Beckley raised his camera and took a photograph. When they developed it,
Okay, so this is that. So it just looks like a normal guy from here, right? Just normal guy, slightly overweight.
the image was there. A figure in a dark suit, standing at an unnatural stillness, face turned just slightly away, as if he had known the camera was coming. But the account that has stayed with researchers longest belongs to a doctor in Maine. 1976, Herbert Hopkins, a physician and hypnotist who had been consulting on a UFO witness case. He received a phone call one evening from a man who identified himself as a representative of a UFO research organization. He asked if he could come by to discuss the case. Hopkins said yes. They hung up. The doorbell rang. Not 5 minutes later, not 2. The second the call ended, the doorbell rang. Hopkins looked through the window. A man was already on his porch. Black suit, no hair. Not just on his head, but no eyebrows, no eyelashes that Hopkins could make out. Skin the color of copy paper. Lips that appeared to be painted on. A vivid, waxy red that looked wrong in a way Hopkins couldn't immediately articulate. The man sat down and began asking about the case. His voice was so flat and even, like a metronome. You know, mechanical in a way that went beyond accent or effect. And at one point, he reached into his pocket, produced a coin, and held it up between 2 fingers.
You can barely even see that. It is there, but the color of the coin in this drawing is nearly identical to the background Probably also because of the encoding of the video. Like the coding of the video combined with them being similar colors, like it just looked like he's holding nothing.
Then it was gone. Not dropped, not palmed in any way Hopkins could detect. It simply ceased to exist between one moment and the next.
Is that on purpose then? Because you can see the circular outline. There is something there. But is that on purpose because of he actually made it disappear or what? Oops, I went too far back.
At one point, he reached into his pocket, produced a coin, and held it up between two fingers. Then it was gone. Not dropped, not palmed in any way Hopkins could detect.
A magician?
It simply ceased to exist between one moment and the next. The man said, without any change in expression, no one will ever find that coin. Then he told Hopkins to destroy all his research materials, his tapes, his notes, everything connected to the case. Hopkins said the man's speech began to slow toward the end of the conversation, gradually like a machine losing power. He stood up unsteadily and said, in that same flat voice, "My energy is running low." Then he left. Hopkins destroyed everything that night, every tape, every note. He has spent years since struggling to explain why, only that in the moment, with that being sitting across from him in his living room, it had seemed like the only rational thing to do.
I mean, it would be cool if all this stuff is real, right? But you have to, because it's just people talking about stories. You can't really believe any of it, and you have to take all of it with a grain of salt. Though, all this stuff was always just cool to me, like growing up around the time when the big boom of like UFO and cryptids and whatnot. Like, take me back, man. Take me back to the 90s where you just turn on the television and you could hear someone talking about UFOs, like a documentary, UFO documentary, Jersey Devil, Bigfoot, not so much. I've never been a Bigfoot guy, but that was also back then Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Yeti, Abominable Snowman, whatever. Whatever you name it, ghosts as well. Like the big three, I think. Well, maybe big four. UFOs. Well, big three: UFOs, Bigfoot, no pun intended, and ghosts. Right? Well, aliens, ghosts, and Bigfoot. Those are the big three back then, and then you could just categorize all the other cryptids in like a fourth category as well. Right? It's just like take me back, where like that's what was like prime entertainment on the television. Like oof.
Most MIB encounters leave nothing behind. No evidence, no record, just a shaken witness and a gap where the proof used to be.
So are we saying that the thing is like a machine? Like we're kind of getting to the point like there's some sort of machine, but maybe it's like an alien controlling machine. But what if we just had robots that are that advanced back in the 70s, but we just are hiding them, right? Because I'm fully on board of the fact that we're purposely stifling technology and advancement for some reason. I don't know. Right? Whoever is up at the top, right? All the top elites who we don't know about, right? We'll just call them the Illuminati, right? They're purposely stifling human advancement, question mark. So we could have already had robots. Was this the 70s? So 50 years ago? Question mark. That are in this instance seem more advanced than what we have now with like the Boston Dynamics thing or whoever. Like everyone's like racing to get the first. Is Tesla doing it? Like Tesla, Boston Dynamics, probably something in China, right? Racing to get the first humanoid. What did you even call them? Humanoid robots that you take home with you, right? Actual home assistant robot thing. I don't know. That we're trying to get to an iRobot scenario, right? We're racing to try to get to that point. But what if we were already at that point 50 years ago? It's just we specifically have been not allowed to advance too fast, right? I'm completely on board of believing that it's something that's going on, right? Same thing with the medical field. I think we should be so much more advanced, so many more cures, so many things like gotten rid of. Human life increased, like how long you live, how long your body functions at peak performance, question mark. Meaning like an old person still functions the same way they did when they're 30, something like that. I think we should have already been at that point, but something, someone, or just things are just happening that aren't letting us advance as fast as we should be advancing? Question mark.
But in 2008, something different happened. Niagara Falls, New York. A triangular craft, large, silent, unlike any conventional aircraft, was spotted over the falls by multiple witnesses. 3 of them were staying at the same hotel that night, standard enough as these things go. What happened next is not standard. The hotel security cameras
What
captured
we got?
2 figures arriving in the lobby.
Actual
Black
cameras.
suits, moving with the same quality witnesses always described.
The guy in the back has a small thing in his hand, small suitcase.
Unhurried, precise, somehow wrong in a way
They both do, maybe. Yeah, it's hard to tell. Like, look, they do have suitcases and they
which
don't.
doesn't fully explain, but that
It
everyone
may, might just be their coats, right?
precise, somehow wrong in a way the footage doesn't fully explain, but that everyone who watched it seems to agree on. They made their way through the hotel, and according to the witnesses, they didn't just come for the 3 people who'd seen the craft. They systematically prevented every single guest on certain floors from leaving their rooms. No explanation, no identification, just a quiet instruction, and an authority so absolute that no one thought to question it. Then they were gone. Hotel staff who reviewed the footage afterward noticed something that should have been impossible. Neither of the 2 men had checked in. There was no record of them entering the building through any monitored entrance, no record of them leaving. The footage exists, the witnesses exist, the gap in the hotel's records exists. What doesn't exist is any explanation. This is the part where it gets complicated, because if you ask who the men in black are, you get 3 very different answers. And
Yeah, you can. It's the government officials. It's the aliens. I feel like calling them like reptile people is that just the same thing as the aliens? So, how's there 3 options, right? Isn't it just the government at the top? You know, like the movies. Aliens pretending to be people to keep their stuff under wraps, and then third would be what? I guess maybe okay. We could, if we're going to combine the two, because it's like, oh, it's humans and aliens working together, but then that's just literally the Men in Black. So the first one is just the government, the second one is just aliens, and the third one is a combination of the 2 working together. I don't know.
each one is more unsettling than the last. So let's start with theory 1, the government.
Sure.
So yeah, the most common assumption is that they're government. CIA, NSA, some unnamed agency operating in the white space between official knowledge and classified reality.
And then next one, they're the tall men, right? Actual aliens. What if the third option is actually what I was saying at the beginning, that it is the government, or some, not necessarily the government, it has to be higher than the government. It's some sort of Illuminati like company is not a strong word. Cult is not the right word either. Some sort of Illuminati like organization that just runs experiments to see what they can do to people and get away with it. I don't know.
And it fits the timeline. Roswell happened in 1947. The modern UFO wave followed. Something needed to manage the witnesses, confiscate the evidence, keep the lid on. Men in dark suits showing up at doors, demanding silence is, at minimum, consistent with how certain classified operations have historically functioned. One specific agency gets named repeatedly in the literature.
What is she using on her face right now?
Referred to as OSIR, described as a scientific body with a division dedicated entirely to phenomena that resist conventional explanation. Astronomy, geology, biology, psychology, all the hard sciences, but pointed at the impossible. Whether it exists in the form described is unverified, but it's been named consistently enough across enough separate accounts that serious researchers have stopped dismissing it as easily as they once did. The theory makes sense, except for one thing. Some researchers point not to the government, but to something that predates it by centuries. The Freemasons have been operating in...
Okay, I was like trying to stay away from the word Freemasons because this is exactly the same thing as the Illuminati, right? Got the Illuminati, the Templars, and the Freemasons, so same thing, just replace what I was saying earlier with Illuminati with the Freemasons.
various forms since the 16th or 17th century. One of the oldest and most secretive organizations in the world, which documented membership among heads of state, military leaders, and intelligence figures across multiple countries and eras. What they actually do behind closed doors has never been fully mapped. The theory here is that the men in black aren't a government operation at all, that they're something older, answering to an authority that exists parallel to governments rather than within them. An organization that has been managing certain kinds of knowledge for centuries, long before Roswell, long before any of this had a name. It sounds like a stretch. There's no hard evidence connecting the Freemasons to MIB encounters directly, but the reason researchers keep coming back to it is the scale. If this is a government operation, it's an
Yeah, it's on the entire planet, so.
operation coordinating across dozens of countries with a consistency that strains belief. That level of coordination implies either a global government apparatus that doesn't officially exist, or something else entirely.
If we want to make just up a cool story, right? Which you probably might see in some sort of media. I assume it exists in some sort of media, and I'm not just the first one just making this up on the spot. If we're going like MIB is a part of the Freemasons, or the MIB is just the Freemasons going around and stopping people from knowing about this knowledge, what if it's actually because this knowledge is detrimental to the survival of humanity, right? Because it's a cognito hazard, right? So just think about like anything that's bad that's happened biblically or in any other like religion that they try to believe actually happened. What if it's because there is some sort of thing or entity or just knowledge itself that if we gain knowledge on a mass level, it will actually bring like mass destruction? And so the Freemasons are just here hanging around trying to stop anyone who gains a little bit of knowledge of that, right? It's like, oh, you saw some sort of flying thing in the sky, delete everything you saw about that, because if you keep poking around and more people keep poking around and they figure out what that thing actually is and gain knowledge of it, it's going to make things worse and everything gets destroyed, right? Because like the Freemasons can't actually combat whatever it is that they're trying to hide, so they have to just make sure that no one else knows about it, and no one knowing about it actually keeps it contained. Right, almost like an SCP level, where you can't really go into like talking about this without mentioning SCP stuff, right? So it's just like the deity thing. If you're not understanding with that, right, the more you know about something or you give faith to something, the stronger it is, or it actually just manifests into reality. It becomes real. So there might be little traces of whatever this thing is that I'm talking about that exists, and then when we see it, we question it, and then we want to find out more, and then that spreads. And then if it spreads, it's gaining like more things are aware of this entity, which then makes it stronger and then manifests it even harder, and then eventually it could just become strong enough to do whatever it wants, right? Whatever, maybe what it wants to do is bad, so the Freemasons have to keep that in check, as is the MIB. Question mark, but that's of course giving the Freemasons the benefit of the doubt, right? Because usually they're sought as being something potentially evil, because we don't know what they're doing, and especially the Illuminati, if you want to go to the Illuminati, they're always seen as like bad guys, right?
Something with longer roots. And then there's the theory that breaks the framework completely, because government agents, even the most elite covert operatives, are human. They have tells, they make mistakes, they get tired, they get hungry, lose their composure under pressure. The men in black, according to the people who'd encountered them, don't seem to do any of those things. One researcher spent years collecting accounts and arrived at a conclusion he himself described as deeply uncomfortable: that the beings appearing at these witnesses' doors are not human, that they are something that has learned to copy human existence well enough to pass at a distance, but not quite well enough to pass at a kitchen table, under ordinary light, in an ordinary room, over the course of an ordinary conversation. Think about what the witnesses consistently describe.
Should I make a tall man VTuber model? I think after watching this, I'm going to put that on my list of things to make, right? I still have like another analog horror model to make, which is real quick, right? I could make that in a day and then start selling it immediately. That's how fast I could make it, probably. Because it's just going to be pitch black and then just the faces, just some eyes and some teeth, and that's it. Done, right? Because this is already analog horror, right? I think we can call this one Anna. because it's just an analog horror, and I don't know what else to call it. So just take the beginning of analog and just take it all, cut everything else off except for the Anna part. So this character is called Anna. But I need another one of those. But then like a tall man seems kind of interesting. So we can make a tall woman. I don't know if that has the same ring to it or whatever they're called in Enemy Unknown. I would just take that and just add a woman to the end. I swear it's like tall man or something. And just make it look just like this, right? Just uncanny. The weird black behind the eyes. A hat. I don't know if we would give it hair, right? They're supposed to be like really hairless and pale, but I don't know. I had to give it some sort of aesthetic modifications, right? So I think I'm gonna add a tall man to my list of VTubers to make in the future.
Skin that looks wrong in a way they struggle to articulate. Eyes slightly too large, hidden behind dark glasses, regardless of the lighting conditions.
Should the eyes just be like pitch black, right? Like aliens typically are? It's just like one solid color rather than a iris and pupil or whatever.
Voice that sounds synthesized, not accented, not unusual, but synthesized, like a recording of speech rather than speech itself. An inability to generate the small, involuntary movements that human beings produce constantly without thinking. The micro expressions, the fidgeting, the blink. One witness, when asked years later what she remembered most clearly about the two men who visited her, thought about it for a long time. That they didn't blink, she said. The whole time they were there, not once. She paused. I thought about it a lot over the years. Whatever.
They haven't used the word uncanny valley this entire time, even though that's what this is, right? And it's kind of just common sense, so it doesn't really need to be brought up, but it is just like uncanny valley stuff. Something that's trying to imitate us without fundamentally understanding what they're trying to imitate.
they were, I don't think they needed to. The theory that follows from this goes underground, literally, that whatever these beings are, they operate from somewhere beneath the surface, somewhere they can monitor human activity, track awareness of their presence, and deploy when the exposure gets too close. The sensitivity to light, always the dark glasses, always avoiding direct sunlight, points to something adapted for environments humans don't inhabit. And yeah, it sounds like science fiction. Most of the people who've reported these encounters know exactly how it sounds. They report it anyway. Here's what we know for certain. The accounts exist, hundreds of them, across decades, across continents, from people with no connection to each other, describing the same suit, the same face, the same feeling that whatever was standing in front of them was operating by a different set of rules than everyone else in their lives. We know that Albert Bender shut down his organization and stayed quiet for a decade. We know Herbert Hopkins destroyed his research the same night something with painted lips and no eyebrows sat in his living room and made a coin disappear. We know Harold Dahl handed over a photograph, the only proof he had, and never spoke publicly about that morning again. We know that two figures walked through a hotel in Niagara Falls in 2008, managed an entire floor of guests, and left no trace in any record of ever having been there. What we don't know is who sent them, what they're protecting, whether the thing they're hiding is something the government found, or something the government fears, or something that has been here so much longer than either of them that the distinction barely matters. One thing cuts through all the theories, all the speculation, all the attempts to explain this away. The accounts don't contradict each other. Across 60 years, across a dozen countries, from people who had no way of knowing about each other's experiences, the descriptions are the same. That kind of consistency is either the most elaborate collective hallucination in recorded history, or it's something else. I will let you decide. Okay.
I was going to see how long this video is.
That's the end of tonight's story. Thank you for listening. And if you had your own encounter, or if you know someone who has,
I wish I've had something cool happen to me, but
I will see you next week.
It never happens.
Bye-bye.
That was that video. Let's see what that's going to say. Okay. Oh, it's just the little thing at top. We'll wait until that all gets in the screen there. Beauty and the Beast. Yep, that was that video. Like, nothing too crazy, right? It's just standard MIB stuff, right? I don't know if I've heard any of that stuff, right? Except for like Roswell, right? Everyone knows about Roswell and whatnot. It could be anything. You never know, right? Though, again, possibly look forward to a tall man VTuber model. at some point within the next, I don't know, year, right? Because I'm procrastinating too much on making VTuber models, right? My free time is spent playing NTE, which is technically not my free time because I'm recording, right? But extra time is being spent recording NTE, Never Ever, and then after that, free time is being spent grinding in Duet Night Abyss. So I'm too involved in that, like actually do hard, quote unquote, work. Yeah. Look forward to that. Look forward to the other analog horror that's going to be like really easy, just really simple one as well. Like nothing too crazy. That one's probably, if I sell it, it's going to be like $5 or $10 or something like that. That's how simple it's going to be. Tall man, woman, though, tall girl. I'll, I'll probably call it a tall girl because I don't like the way tall woman sounds. Tall man doesn't sound right either because I don't know if that's even what they're called in Enemy Unknown. But maybe a tall girl is cute, right? That sounds cuter. But yeah, so cuties, thanks for watching. Remember to buy my stickers and think about becoming a member. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, because we're here to watch them and subscribers. And don't forget we have a throw now as well. And shout out to the members, EmmyStarr, RaleyDrew, and alexgkiller 880. Yeah, cuties, thanks for watching. Tune into the next episode. Like, subscribe, hype, and comment. You know what to do. See ya.